It's only 4 days left before we stop accepting applications for Gaudir competition. And now we are actively preparing and decided to have several streams and with the interview with our star jury. These interviews we will save not only here but also in the Daily Doll magazine. Today we interview Svetlana Rumyantceva. Let's start. Svetlana is an honorable member of Russian Academy of Arts, a member of Union of Artists of Russia, a president of Art Doll section, a member of Moscow Artists Union, a head of the experimental art mastershop dollart.ru, an organizer of a professional competition doll art, a curator of the exhibition project Art Doll or Art Kukla. Now I'm an academist, Svetlana says, and we are very glad that now our doll appears in Academy of Art. So we are recognized. This art is recognized finally. Svetlana says that the following: my aim is to promote and develop art doll in official art sphere also. After the Second World War, many people started making dolls themselves. So dolls were no longer made only by factories and artisans. Abroad, from amateurs, a lot of professionals were born. We in Russia had a different way. First, we had professionals and then amateurs emerged. The art we are all in now is quite new. Lena Gromova, a sculptor and an artist, started to include art dolls in her exhibitions, and she also starts visiting artists in their workshops and collecting from them new art objects, art dolls. Almost all of them had at least one, made for fun or for pleasure. So in the 80s, dolls exhibitions started. In 90s, Karina Shansheva Gallery and Vakhtanov Gallery, Rosa Azora Gallery appeared. Later, Lena Gromova's collection appeared. The artists saw that this is very necessary to see your own work as if from outside, compare, and started making exhibitions regularly. In 2002, we created Doll Art and started our first exhibition with Alexandra Kudakova. Then I joined. At that time, I worked in theater as an art director, stage designer. After finishing school studio of Moscow Art Academic Theater, and I worked in the theater and knew very well theatrical aspects. We made friends with Alexandra and enjoy our collaboration and friendship till now. Our exhibition is more like projects. Like Shakespeare theme, every artist created their own view of Shakespeare's characters. And that was really interesting to see. Another of our grand projects is Fool's Sheep, the sheep created by Grozdev and Morozov. Uh, this sheep with its inhabitants visited many cities of Russia. We found it very interesting to see different views by different artists on one and the same topic. Um, you are one of the Olympic inhabitants for the most of the new and also old doll artists. What would you say to that? Svetlana says, you know, I never wanted. In USSR, I was a theater worker, worked with grand artists in grand theaters, and it gave me influence and all my work, I would say. While working there, I started making dolls. Not started, I was actually making them since childhood. It was always interesting for me to create something myself. Afke, this is an artist from Holland. She was my friend, and she visited me in the 80s and saw my dolls. And she surprised me saying that there are special doll artists, so to say, in Holland already existing, and they do the same thing as I. And I started learning new people, something new about dolls, what I could find there in those days. in Russia. Katya Manshavina, cartoon student, was making dolls, and it became her profession due to perestroika, because otherwise maybe she would have been a wonderful cartoon worker. Sasha Kudakova was a car designer at Stroganov University, but also created dolls, and thus started first doll community in Russia. Alena Bashagova created first projects in doll art sphere. It's difficult to sell a project actually. It's easier to sell separate dolls. But this is a purely art thing, a project. It bears educational promotional function, but it gives much support to the doll art as it is. Dolls can be represented in museums, and they neighbor famous paintings like paintings by Shishkin, Fashion, and others. And the dolls look quite successfully nearby. And many people see the dolls for the first time in their life and learn and start loving the dolls, art dolls. It's important to show the art dolls live, as the photos do not do the justice in reality most of the time. Your mission is very important. There is a big commercial component in doll art, and it's dangerous not to forget about art itself. Yes, when you work to order, there is no freedom for the artist. The artist needs to communicate, to express his opinion to the world, as this is his language which he speaks. Andrei Drozdov, my old friend, was working on TV, making masks, people, copies of people, so to say, and he got so tired of it that he started making pure images, pure imaginative creations. And I invited him to our community too. What is important for an artist is to find his or her own style and to grow and develop constantly, but try not to copy other artists' works, no matter how much he might like them. To achieve everything by him and himself. An artist shouldn't even present his work if it's done inspired by somebody else's work, or he should always say about it. Um, So returning to Andrei Drozdov's story, we decided to, by joke to make with him together a joke doll. It was called Feelings. And you know, there was a queue of people looking at it and discussing the deep thoughts and feelings inside this work, though we were planning only to joke. And there was even some cues to buy it. So you never know what will happen to your doll and how will people accept it. The Two by Gula Alexeyeva. I think you might know this work. Two heads, man and woman, with threads in their fingers. Gula thought it's not good enough to be even sent to the exhibition, so people sometimes can't correctly access themselves and assess themselves. And we have sometimes a kind of jury at our exhibitions which chooses only three works, not so to say the best ones, but the most loud ones, those which had the best reaction. And you know, Gula's work was chosen almost by one voice, so it was actually the best work that year. Yes, the artist himself or herself can't correctly assess his or her work. People who judge, they could have seen lots of it. When a person creates something, he or she inputs a lot of energy, soul, thoughts in it, and most often thinks it's a masterpiece, especially when this work is the first or around the first one. But people with experience see it realistically and see it as it is. Once in the 90s, my dolls got stolen. It was taken for sale, but then no doll and no money returned to me. And I was so much surprised when it later emerged in some other collections, and I even didn't know how it get there. Actually, that was real surprise. But for me, I create a doll, I play with it, and I let it go. So I even can't remember all the dolls I made because I made so many of them uh, that you can imagine because actually started making them at 3 when I was 3. Who are you more now, artist or a curator? I am an artist, of course, in the first line. I also like making photos, and though I am not a professional photographer, but I got rewarded at some professional photo exhibitions, you know. I kind of make sketches with my camera now. I also love architecture, Moscow, St. Petersburg architecture. It always tell you an interesting story, and you can always find some historical chambers behind any corner. I'm still in good friendship with theatrical circles, though they never consider my doll art serious. With Viktor Grigoriev, unfortunately late, we created theatrical box exhibition. He was also a stage designer and combined it with his doll making. For a man, it's easier actually to combine because he has no family obligation, so to say. He doesn't need to cook or something. Uh, and I sometimes have to choose, and usually I do it in doll's favor. Tell me about the puppetry exhibition, the latest one. The main character is a puppet master, or Karabas Barabas. Everybody says it's him. Though the author of it, Gvozdev and Morozov, they say he is just a puppet master. Um, but actually, we always avoid some politic underlining in our works, but still, there was an irony in this work, as the puppet master thinks he is a master and he rules, but behind him you see levers, which is operated by people. In fact, it's difficult to make an exhibition, as sometimes we face force majeure conditions and everything can look absolutely different because of it. For example, there are always some maintenance works in Moscow in the center, and our exhibition, Macros, was near my workshop. And almost the day of exhibition, I explored that all the ways and all the roads leading to the exhibition spot were ruined, so to say. They were in maintenance. They were removed and absolutely open, and people couldn't go there. And I had to spend a lot of time to ask the administration to make at least some wooden boards for the visitors to enter it. And finally, it made absolutely different impression because of these circumstances. The exhibition itself looked different because of this problem. But I wouldn't say it was worse, but it was absolutely different. Uh, let's return to our competition. Yesterday, I found out that one of our participants is only 15 years old. I was actually surprised. And what would you say? Is it bad or good when a person is afraid of a competition? Should a person be afraid of it? And is there any special time when a person should enter a competition? It depends on the person. They are very different. People are very different. It's useful to be able to look at yourself from outside, not aiming to the first place. You just find yourself in the surrounding of people who do the same thing. And you see how they open the theme, how they worked the theme, and you compare yourself with them. And you can grow. You have to be careful when choosing a competition in order not to get bad feelings about it, but it helps to find yourself and to grow. As I'm for the fact that there are more professional doll artists, of course I support this. And I want that more doll artists grow to the certain level. There shouldn't be competitive feelings between us as we all aim to promote and develop doll art. What do you think about this, Svetlana? You are a recognized artist. What would you say to the fact that there are so many people who create competitions now? you know, Actors gather all fame, though the main worker is the director. The same thing is with me as with my dolls. They gather all fame, and I let them eat with pleasure. I also take care that our doll art community has its fame. And what trends do you see now in doll art? Realistic dolls, symbolistic dolls, cute toys, and ball jointed dolls, of course. But there is also another angle to it: dolls made by professionals and dolls made by amateurs. So actually, you see, I had much more questions to you, Svetlana, but we are already short of time, and I want to ask you that we maybe meet for the second time and continue discussing with you this very interesting topic. So goodbye to everybody, and thank you for being with us.